So the first thing is users must all have their own accounts. Your login name equates back to a home directory, which would be just /home followed by your username. An account means that you should have access to at least one machine, whether that be Vesta or Mira or Cetus. All of our users and even all of our staff use CryptoCard tokens to log in. Not that be visible, but the token is about this big. When you press a button, you receive a one-time password. And just in case that your token gets out of your hands, there's a required PIN for use with a CryptoCard. When you first receive your CryptoCard, you need to call the ALCF help desk to activate it. And there should be a PIN that's given to you that when you put it in for the first time, you put in that PIN, followed by a one-time password from the CryptoCard. And then you should be prompted to change your PIN. And that will be the PIN that you use going forward. The next kind of important piece is a project. And a project corresponds to an allocation of core hours on at least one machine. A user can be a member of multiple projects. And when submitting jobs, is when you would specify a project, unless you belong to a single project, at which point that single project would be used as your default. We'll kind of have a demonstration in a few minutes, but for logging in, you can use any sort of default SSH client with SSH-Y, your username at mira.alcf.anl.gov, or Cetus or Vesta.alcf.anl.gov, Huli.alcf.anl.gov. And that will, by round robin, DNS round robin, place you on a login node. Again, you wind up using your CryptoCard with your PIN plus the password. If there's any sort of account management required, you can do so through accounts.alcf.anl.gov. There is a password there, which is not a CryptoCard password, but rather the password that you use to set up your initial account. If you have any questions about this, there's our online documentation where you can reach out to the help desk at support@alcf.anl.gov. A few words about allocation management. Again, all users must be assigned at least one project, and if you, from the command line, use the projects command, you can get a list of the projects of which you're a member. The projects are given allocations. The allocations have an amount, which is currently in core hours, a start and end date for that allocation, and all allocations are tracked separately. By default, the allocation with the earliest end date will be charged first until it runs out, and then the next within a project. If you're interested in seeing what your balances are, kind of like checking your checkbook, you can use the sbank command to show your allocation and balance. So sbank allocation-p project name will show the balance for the project. Sbank list users-p-u username will show the charges against the project by a given user. Sbank list allocations-capital S, GE for greater than and greater or equal, 4-digit year, 2-digit month, 2-digit day will show allocations with a start date greater than or equal to the date that you've specified. You can also show allocations for a particular resource. Sometimes people have hours on Mira but not Cetus. Or if you're logged into one system and not the other, you can actually query across with the lowercase r. The -e less than will show things that end before a given date. Again, the -s will let you see what starts between one date and another. And -h will give you help for sbank. Right now, sbank is updated hourly. And one other important thing to think about when you're looking at charges against your project is that charges are based on the partition size, not the number of nodes or cores used. So if you submit a job that, say, is 256 nodes on Mira, it will still consume a 512 node partition, and you'll be charged the 512 nodes. Likewise, if you submit, say, a 7,000 node job, you will still be charged for an 8K partition, as that is the smallest partition which can hold that 7K job. Any questions, or we'll keep moving forward? Okay. This slide just basically goes through really quickly HPC storage file systems at ALCF. On Vesta, there's Vesta Home, which is GPFS file system. Most users just access it as /home. It is not backed up, but though daily snapshots are taken, it's meant to kind of be general use. There is a /projects file system, and entries within /projects are by project, not by user. It is not backed up, and the snapshots are taken, but it's really meant for /projects is where you're meant to do job output and to store large files. Similarly, on Mira, Citizen Cooley, there's the Mira Home, GPFS Mira Home file system, which again most users just access to /home. It is backed up to HPSS on a regular basis, and daily snapshots are taken. It is meant for general use, things like storing small input decks, config files, building binaries, and then your project will have an entry in /projects on Mira, Citizen Cooley, which is another GPFS file system. And that's really meant to be where you're doing your job output and working with large files. Its bandwidth is better. The total number of spindles and space are better. So again, when you're running, do your output to /projects / your project name. Are there any questions so far? Okay. To talk for a moment about disk quota management. For home directories, we have a default quota of 100 gigabytes for Mira and 50 gigabytes for Vesta. GPFS quotas can be checked with the myQuota command. And then for your projects directories, there's a default allocation of 1,000 gigabytes of Mira and 500 gigabytes of Vesta. And you can check those quotas with my project quotas. And more discussion of the policy and pieces are available through our online documentation. One important thing to think about is we do not purge. So it is important that you keep on top of your own quotas. A word on backups and tape archiving. Again, there are on-disk snapshots of /home that are done each night. If you delete files accidentally out of your home directory, you can look in /GPFS Mira home.snapshots on Mira, Cetus, and Cooley. And then for Vesta /GPFS Vesta-home.snapshots. And we keep, I believe, a week's worth of snapshots. Additionally, Mira, Cetus, and Cooley home directories, as say Mira home, is backed up to tape. And we, again, do not back up /projects. If you want to back up or archive things that are in /projects or project directory, we provide HPSS with the HSIA and grid FTP clients. And there's a further discussion of this again within our online documentation. For data transfer, we have a number of users that move literally petabytes of files or hundreds of terabytes of files around. And so we strongly recommend using Globus Online and Grid FTP. With Grid FTP, the other site must accept our certificate authority. And incoming, we mandate the use of CryptoCards. So it's the same PIN plus CryptoCard that you wind up using. If you have small transfers, and I'm talking about, when the megabytes, not in the hundreds of megabytes or gigabytes, there's SFTP and SCP access to all of our file systems remotely anywhere in the world. Again, it's not particularly recommended for large transfers where, again, we strongly stress the use of Grid FTP and Globus Online. Globus will go ahead and basically manage your data transfers for you. Our DTNs are ALCF pound DTN underscore Mira, ALCF pound underscore Vesta, and ALCF pound DTN underscore HPSS for accessing, in the case of the DTN Mira, either CEDIS, Cooley, or Mira's file systems. The DTN Vestas for purely, again, the separate Vesta file systems, and DTN HPSS will let you interact directly with our HPSS storage.